Welcome to Soul Station. My name is Bryce, and in this video I'll be working on a couple of projects. These bar stools that you can see behind me and another mirror. I found another mirror. So I'll be working on these. Anyways, I hope that you get some inspiration from these projects. Thank you so much for watching. These bar stools are counter height and they are made of metal. They almost feel like cast iron and they have a brown glaze on them. I don't know if you can see it really well, but they're definitely brown. So once I removed the seat cushions, they were actually hot glued on, and so I had to remove some of the chunky hot glue on here just so that when I put them back on, I wanted them to sit down flat. The next thing that I did was give them a good clean. I took the bar stools outside so that I could spray paint them with the first coat of white primer. There are times and events that happen in our lives that can really try to define who we are or what we think about ourselves. And this week I was reminded again of just what God says about me and how important it is to change my mindset, not from what the world says I am or what past mistakes say that I am, but what God's word says that I am. I am so thankful for the beautiful weather that we've been having after what seems like such a long winter, and we have signs of the first wildflowers that are blooming on the top of the mountain here. Once the spray paint was dry, I brought them inside so that I could brush on another coat of paint. It would probably be easier to just spray paint them again, but I really like the look and the texture that brushing on the paint gives furniture, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Once the paint was dry, I sanded it back to give it an aged and almost chippy look. I want to encourage you that whatever you're going through, whenever you have negative thoughts that come in and try to take over your mind, remind yourself of what God says about you and speak it out loud. When I started to do that, it changed my life. To seal these bar stools, I used Big Top by DIY. Next, I'm removing the fabric on these seat cushions. The first seat had fabric that was stapled down, and then the second cushion, it was hot glued down. And I have never used hot glue in that way, but it held up really well because it was difficult to pull the fabric off. There was some extra fabric underneath here that had been stapled on and previously cut away, and I decided to take that off just so I had a nice smooth finish on the bottom of the seat cushion. Then I cut some drop cloth to fit and I stapled it on. Before I start, I just make sure that I have the same amount of fabric all the way around, and then I start on one side and I'll do 3 or 4 staples, and then I'll move to the other side and pull it taut evenly across both sides of it. I try to make the pinch pleats as I go all the way around so that they're even, and then I'm also using a marker to mark through the fabric where the screw holes are so that I can screw the seats back onto the chair frame. Then I just cut away the extra fabric and screw the cushions back onto the chair. This mirror has a really dark glossy finish to it, and so I will give a first coat of primer. But before I do that, I'm going to remove the mirror from the frame. The backing was already loose at the top, and so I knew it would be easy for me to slip this mirror out. I was a little nervous doing that, but I got it out just fine. I painted on the primer in the evening, and so I was able to let it dry overnight, and then the next day I started with white paint. I don't want to sand this piece back to age it because that glossy cherry colored finish that's underneath might cause some bleed through, and so I don't want to mess with that. And I decided instead to use some gray paint and do a dry brush technique using dark paint over the white. This dried almost immediately, and I just wanted to show you what it looked like right after I had done it. It's a little dark, and so the next thing I'm going to do is dry brush white over this. Dry brushing the white over the gray softened it just enough. I added a little bronze paint to the hardware, and then I sealed everything with Big Top by DIY. Then I carefully placed the mirror back in the frame and I stapled it back on the back, and then I gave it a good clean. Here's another look at the before of these projects, and here's what they look like after. If you've never done a dark dry brush over a lighter colored dry brush technique, then I would recommend giving it a try. It was fun to experiment with it on this one, and I would definitely do it again. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.